Hello students, continuing with our topic of truss, today we solve problems based on truss. In the last video, we have seen the derivation for stiffness matrix for a truss member, and then the stress formula for calculating a stresses in the truss member. So today we solve problem on trusses. Okay. Now here the problem is given. So this is a truss. This point is roller support. A roller support is given where the movement of this point is allowed in y direction, whereas movement along x direction is restricted. This joint or this point is completely fixed. Okay. So no movement or no displacement is allowed in x direction as well as in y direction. This length, that means the length of this horizontal member is 800 mm and the length of this vertical member of the truss is given 400 mm. One force of 30 kilonewton is applied in inclined direction. The inclination of this force with that of a vertical line is given 30 degree. Then area, that is cross-sectional area of the truss member is given as 400 mm square. That means the cross-sectional area of all the three members of this truss is same, and that is of 400 mm square. And the Young's modulus is given 200 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square. That means all the three members of the truss is made up of same material, and the Young's modulus for that is given as 200 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square. And we have to find out the displacement, stress and reaction in this problem. Okay. So how to find out the displacement, stress and strain, stress and reaction of this problem, that we are going to see. Now we know that we are going to apply the finite element method for solving this truss problem, and the finite element method says that the first step is discretization. So first we discretize it. So first step is discretization. So solution. First is discretization. So in discretization, one member of a truss is considered as one element. So this is, there are three members, so there are three elements. Okay. So this is a roller support. This is fixed. Okay. Now we need to give the node numbers to these three vertices of a triangle. Now you can consider this as 1, this as 2, this as 3, or this as 1, this as 2, this as 3, or this as 1, this as 2, this as 3. So you can consider any vertices of a triangle as any node, but always follow certain pattern in giving the node numbers. Generally, what I follow, I always start with bottom left point. So whatever may be the truss problem. For example, this is a truss problem. So this is a truss problem. So I always start with the bottom left corner as 1 and then go in clockwise direction. So this is the method that I follow. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So I always start with the bottom left corner and go in clockwise direction. So for discretization, for node numbers, always start from bottom left node and number in clockwise direction. So this is the convention that I follow. Okay. So I start with bottom left corner as 1, and in clockwise direction means this will be 2 and this will be 3. I am not saying that this node number is the only correct way. I am telling you my method of node number. You can give node 1 here, node 2 here, node 3 here, no problem. But node numbering is very, very important while calculating the inclination of these members. If your inclination is correct, then your problem is correct. But if you make mistakes in calculating the inclination angle, then your entire problem may be wrong. So what I suggest, you always start with bottom left corner and go in clockwise direction. Okay. So this is node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, and this is element number 1, element number 2 and element number 3. Okay. Now we make connectivity table or node connectivity table. So in this element number and local nodes, so we'll make this table. This table is very, very important. So you need to define which is your first local node and which is your second local node in all the 3 elements. Now element number 1. So first element is made up of node number 1 and 2, out of which 1 is our first local node and 2 is our second local node. Okay. This definition is very, very important. So element number 1 is made up of node number 1 and 2. So out of 1 and 2, smaller number will always be the first local node and the bigger number will always be the second local node. So element number 1 is made up of node number 1 and 2, out of which node number 1 is our first local node and node number 2 is our second local node. Similarly, element number 2. Element number 2 is made up of node number 2 and 3. So out of which 2 is a smaller number, 3 is a bigger number. So 2 will be my first local node and 3 will be my second local node. Similarly, third element is made up of node number 1 and 3. Okay, so out of which 1 is a smaller number, 3 is a bigger number. So I assign 1 as my first local node and 3 as my second local node. Now this element connectivity table or node connectivity table is important, is very important for angle calculation. This is very important because we always have to measure the angle at first local node. So in this truss arrangement, where to measure the angle? So always measure the angle at first local node. Okay. Now here at node number 1 we consider the two displacements, that is q1x and q1y. Similarly, we consider two forces. Okay, so q1x and q1y are the displacement at node number 1. Similarly, q2x, q2y, it will be displacement at node number 2, and q3x, q3y are the displacement at second local node. Similarly, F1x, F1y, these are the two forces that we consider at first local node or at node number 1. This is F2x, F2y, and F3x, F3y. Okay. So these are the displacements and forces that we consider at each node. Now we know that truss is 2D element in global coordinate system. That is why we are considering two displacements and two forces in mutually perpendicular direction at each node. Okay, so that makes the truss member as 2D element in global coordinate system. Truss member is 1D element in local coordinate system, where we consider the displacement and force only in one direction, that is along the length of the member. But in global coordinate system, we consider it in two mutually perpendicular directions. Okay. Now we calculate the inclination of each truss member. So element 1. Okay. So element 1. So which is that element? This is the element 1. So this is node 1, node 2. So element 1 is made up of node 1 and node 2. Now, where to calculate the inclination? So always measure the inclination at first local node. So for element number 1, 1 is our first local node. So consider this node as origin. This as origin, and draw positive x-axis, and always measure the angle in anti-clockwise direction. So measure angle in counterclockwise direction. What I did? I chosen first local node. I have not measured the inclination of this element at node number 2. Why? Because my first local node is 1. Always measure the inclination of this truss member at first local node. So for this, consider this point as origin. This is positive x-axis. Okay, so always positive x-axis goes towards the right of the origin, and then measure the inclination in anti-clockwise direction. So here theta, what is the value of theta? Here it is 90 degree. Now if you measure the inclination at node number 2, then it may be say 270 degree. So if you write theta as 270, then the entire problem is incorrect. Okay, so it is very important to measure the inclination at first local node, that too from the positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. So here theta comes out to be 90 degree. Similarly, we calculate the inclination of element number 2. So element number 2, this is node number 2, this is node number 3. Okay, now what is the inclination here? What is the theta value here? So what our assumption says, always measure the angle at first local node. So for element number 2, first local node is 2. So always measure here at first local node. Now consider this point as the origin, draw positive x-axis and measure in anti-clockwise direction. So if you draw positive x-axis and measure the inclination of this truss member, then it is 0 degree. So theta is 0 for element number 2. Similarly, element number 3. So element number 3 is this one and the first local node is 1. So element number 3 is this one, this is 1, this is 3. Now we need to measure the inclination of this member. So how? Measure at first local node, consider this as origin, draw positive x-axis. So this is the positive x-axis and measure in anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Now here this distance is 800, this distance is 400. So this distance is 800 and this distance is 400. So this is 800, this is 400. So tan theta is equal to 400 upon 800. So theta is equal to tan inverse of 1 by 2 and the angle comes out to be theta is equal to 25.56 degree. This is the inclination of this member. If you measure the angle at 3, then that would have been a different angle. So your entire problem will be wrong. Now we make a direction cosine table for this. Direction cosine. Now we know that for calculating the stiffness of a truss member, we require cos theta sin theta function. Okay, that is we need to make a direction cosine table because that will be helpful for calculating the stiffness matrix. So direction cosine table. Okay. So डायरेक्शन कोसाइन टेबल में क्या क्या आएगा? एलिमेंट, एंगल थीटा, लेंथ, then cos theta, sin theta, cos theta sin theta, cos square theta and sin square theta. So these many parameters will be required. So we start with element number 1. Element number 1. What is the inclination of element number 1? Is 90 degree. What is the length of element number 1? Is 400 mm. Then what is the cos 90 here? Cos 90 is 0. Sin 90 is 1. So cos theta sin theta 0 into 1 is 0. Cos square theta is 0. Sin square theta is 1. Okay, this is element number 1. Then element number 2. Element number 2, inclination is 0 degree. What is the length of element number 2? It is 800 mm. Cos 0, 1. Sin 0, 0. Cos theta sin theta, 0. Cos square theta, 1. Sin square theta, 0. Then the third element inclination is 26.56. Now what is the length of this member? This can be easily find out. The length can be easily find out from here. So L square equal to 800 square plus 400 square. So the length is 894. L is equal to 894.42. Okay. So this is the length of this member. This is 894.42. Now what is cos of 26.56? Is 0.89. Then sine 26.56 is 0.44. Then cos square is 0.79. Sorry, cos theta sin theta is 0.3916. 0.3916. Cos square theta is 0.79 and sin square theta is 0.19. So in this way, this direction cosine table is completed. So this is the direction cosine table. And if you believe me, then if your direction cosine table is correct, 95% chances are there that your problem is correct. So whenever we evaluate the answer sheets in university examination, then we always see the direction cosine table, because there are so many answer sheets to be checked, and if you check each and every step is virtually not possible. So we have made certain tricks from which we can evaluate the answer in a very precise amount of time. So for that, we generally see the direction cosine table. If the direction cosine table is correct, that means 90% chances are there that the entire problem is correct, because in most of the cases the students make mistakes in calculating the angles. So if your angle is correct, that means your cos theta sin theta functions are correct, that means your element stiffness matrix are correct, that means your displacements are correct, that means your stresses are correct and your reactions are correct. So this direction cosine table is very, very important. Very important. Okay. And this element connectivity table is very important for calculating the angles. And if your angles are correct, then your direction cosine table is correct. That means the element connectivity table or node connectivity table and direction cosine tables, these are very, very important contributors in the correct solution of this truss problem. Okay. So once you are ready with direction cosine table, now we can formulate the element stiffness matrix for node number 1, 2 and 3. So now second step is element stiffness matrix. Now element stiffness matrix for first element is calculated as AE by L or A1 E1 by L1, C square CS S square minus C square minus CS minus cs minus s square minus c square minus cs c square cs minus cs minus s square cs s square. Now put the values here. What is A? The area is 400 mm square. So 400 multiplied by E value. E is what? 200 into 10 to the power 3. So 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by what is length of the first member is 400 mm. Now here c square value. Now what is c square value for first element? For first element the value of c square is 0. Cs value for first is 0. So minus c square means 0 0. Now cs s square. What is cs here? Cs value is 0 and s square value is 1. So take c square s square cs values from the first row for element number 1 and then you complete here 0 minus 1 0 0 0 0 0 minus 1 0 1. Okay, and you find out the element stiffness matrix for first element as, so we keep 200 here, we keep 10 to the power 3 outside, so 400 get cancelled, 10 to the power 3 outside, so inside the bracket it will be, so 10 to the power 3 outside the bracket, inside the bracket it will be 200. So 0 0 0 0 0 200 0 minus 200 0 0 0 0 0 minus 200 0 200. So this is element stiffness matrix for first member, and now we need to give the row number column number to this first element matrix. So it will be, it is made up of node number 1 and 2. So it will be q1x, q1y, q2x, q2y. So it will be 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y, 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y. In the same way, you calculate the element stiffness matrix for second element and third element. So I write down stiffness matrix for second element and third element as so K2. So K2 comes out to be 10 to the power 3 100 0 0 0. That means it is minus 100 0 0 minus 100 0 100 0 0 0 0. This is for element number 2, and we know that element 2 is made up of 2 and 3. So row number will be 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y, 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y. Similarly, element stiffness matrix for third element is calculated as so 10 to the power 3 outside the bracket, inside the bracket is 73, 36, 36, 18. Yes. So it is minus 73, minus 36, minus 36, minus 18, minus 73, minus 36, 73, 36, minus 36, minus 18, 36, 18. So this is element stiffness matrix for the third element, and third element is made up of node number 1 and 3. So it will be 1x, 1y, 3x, 3y. 1x, 1y, 3x, 3y. So these are the three element stiffness matrix. Now the global stiffness matrix. So global stiffness matrix will be K1 plus K2 plus K3. Okay, and the size of the global stiffness matrix is equal to 2 times the number of nodes by number of nodes. Okay, so this is a 2D problem. So size of the global stiffness matrix Kg will be 2 times number of nodes by number of nodes. So here there are 3 nodes, so size of the global stiffness matrix will be 2 into 3, that is 6 by 6 matrix, and row number, column number to this global stiffness matrix will be 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y, 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y. Now you have to assemble all the values and complete the global stiffness matrix. Okay, so the global stiffness matrix comes out to be (73, 36, 0, 0, minus 73, minus 36, 36, 218, 0, minus 200, minus 36, minus 18, 0, 0, 100, 0, minus 100, 0, 0, minus 200, 0, 200, 0, minus 200, 0, 200, 0, 0, minus 73, minus 36, minus 100, 0, 173, 36, minus 36, minus 18, 0, 0, 36, 18. So if you assemble K1, K2 and K3 by putting the proper values at 1x, 1x and all these positions, you will get the global stiffness matrix as this. Okay. Now the global force matrix, will be F1x, F1y. So the forces at all the 3 matrices, F2x, F2y, F3x, F3y. Now this is our node number 1, this is at node number 2, this is at node number 3. At node number 1 there is no external force, so it will be 0 0. At node number 2 also there is no external force, so it will be 0 0. At node number 3 there is one force of 30 kilonewton which is inclined at 30 degree to vertical line. So we resolve this 30 kilonewton into two components. One as 30 cos 30 and one is 30 sin 30. So it comes out to be cos 30 is this is minus 15. Sorry, so this is 15. 30 sin 30. So sin 30 is 0.5. So 30 into 0.5 is 15, and this comes out to be 26. Okay. So 30 cos 30 is 26 kilonewton and 30 sin 30 is 15 kilonewton. Okay. Now this 15 is in negative x-axis direction, so it will be minus 15, and this 30 is in negative y direction, so it will be minus 26. Okay, so this is our global force matrix. Then the global displacement matrix. The global displacement matrix, it will be q1x, q1y, q2x, q2y, q3x, q3y. Right? Now we are ready with the global stiffness matrix, global force matrix and global displacement matrix. So these values we need to find out. So these are all unknown values, but global force matrix and global stiffness matrix are ready with us. Now we can apply the principle of minimum potential energy or Rayleigh-Ritz method. So step number 3, apply PMP or Rayleigh-Ritz method. So Rayleigh-Ritz method says that the global force matrix is equal to global stiffness matrix multiplied by global displacement matrix. Right? This is our Rayleigh-Ritz method or principle of minimum potential energy method. Now the global force matrix, now here this is in kilonewton. So here 10 to the power 3 will be outside the bracket. So it will be 10 to the power 3 0 0 0 0 minus 15 minus 26 equal to, यहाँ पे भी 10 to the power 3 ब्रैकेट के बाहर आएगा. So 10 to the power 3. Now here the entire this matrix Kg matrix will be written as, the entire matrix is written here. So I won't write all the values again. Okay, but you have to write the entire matrix here, all the values here. Okay, the row number, column number for this will be 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y, 1x, 1y, 2x, 2y, 3x, 3y. And then the global displacement matrix, that is q1x, q1y, q2x, q2y, q3x, q3y. So this is the formulation of the truss problem. Now we apply the Gauss elimination method or Gauss elimination technique. So apply Gauss elimination technique. So Gauss elimination technique says those which are fixed need to be cancelled out. Now here the restriction at node number 1, the restriction along x direction is fixed, but y direction is allowed. Okay. At node number 2, both x and y directions are not allowed, and at node number 3 it is a free one. So at node number 3 there is free movement or free displacement. So which directions are fixed or which directions are fully constrained for displacement? That is 1x, 2x and 2y. Okay. So 1x, 2x and 2y, they are fixed. So we cancel out those rows and columns. So 1x is fixed. So 1x is fixed. 1x is fixed. Then 1y is allowed. 1y is allowed. Okay. Then 2x and 2y are fixed. So 2x, 2y are fixed. So 2x, 2y are fixed. Okay. So after this, this matrix is reduced. So here, what is this value? 1y, 1y, it is 218. Then minus 2, minus 36, minus 18, and then 3x minus 36, (173), 36, and the last one is minus 18, 36, 18. Okay. So this arrangement is reduced to this matrix. So if you write the reduced matrix, this 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3 get cancelled. So यहाँ पे क्या बचा है? 0, minus 15, minus 36 is equal to 218, minus 36, minus 18, minus 36, 173, 36, minus 18, 36, 18, multiply by q1y, q3x, q3y. So here 3 unknowns, 3 equations, so we can easily find out the values of q1y, q3x and q3y. So if you solve, then the values of q1y comes out to be minus 0.13 mm. Q3x comes out to be 0.36, and Q3y comes out to be minus 2.3. So these are the three displacement values that we calculated out of it. Okay. So the global displacement matrix, how it looks like. So Q1x is 0, Q1y is minus 0.13, Q2x 0, Q2y 0, it is 0.36, and last is minus 2.3. So this is the displacement values at the nodal positions. Now stresses. So sigma 1 is calculated as E by L or E1 by L1 minus C minus S C S multiply by Q1x, Q1y, Q2x, Q2y. Because element number 1 is made up of node number 1 and 2, so here the values will be Q1x, Q1y, Q2x, Q2y. Now put the values here. E is how much? 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by L1 is 400. Now from the direction cosine table, you write down the values of minus C minus S. So it is 0, minus 1, 0, 1 multiply by Q1x, Q1y, values put karo. So 0 minus 0.300. So sigma 1 comes out to be 65 megapascal. Similarly, sigma 2 is E2 by L2 minus C minus S C S, and element number 2 is made up of node number 2 and 3, so here it will be Q2x, Q2y, Q3x, Q3y. So sigma 2, so if you put the values here, it will be 90 megapascal, and sigma 3 is minus 145.40 megapascal. Okay. So negative sign indicates that there is a compressive stress. Similarly, reaction you can find out. So reaction can be find out, that is R1x. So take the cancelled row of K matrix multiply by global displacement matrix. So R1x comes out to be 51.65 kilonewton. Then the next reaction would come at R2x. R2x means cancelled row of K matrix multiply by the global displacement matrix. So that comes out to be minus 36 kilonewton. And third one comes out at R2y, that is cancelled row multiply by the global displacement matrix. So it is 26 kilonewton. Okay. So if you add 51 minus 36, so 51 minus 36 is 15, 15 plus 26. So 15 plus 26. So the summation of all the forces comes out to be minus 41, and summation of all the reactions comes out to be plus 41 kilonewton. So from this we can say that our calculations are correct. So this is the way by which you can solve a truss problem. So I hope that you have understood the entire process. Okay, so truss is considered to be very easy as far as unit number 5 is concerned. So students generally don't opt the constant strain triangle problem which comes in option to the truss problem, and all the students or most of the students they go for the truss calculation. Okay, so we'll solve some more problems for clearing the doubts. So thank you very much. Thanks.